Wow, I'm absolutely blown away by how truly incredible Knives Out 2 Glass Onion was. I was not expecting that at all. I just loved all of the new perspectives that they brought to familiar murder mystery tropes, and the film was just so cinematic, so awesome, and so many brilliant twists and turns. I just love the way that they explained everything as well, whilst having some excellent sequences, dialogue, and of course a lot of social commentary throughout as well. The outstanding cast just brought their A game, and it really was just such a fun joy to watch all of these superstars acting their heart out in this movie and just being so funny throughout the whole thing as well. This is going to be a spoiler review, by the way, and an ending explained video, so be warned. So we're going to be breaking down everything to do with this instant classic right now. Firstly, the film is so much more than just a murder mystery movie. I mean, that is of course at its core, no pun intended, but as the name would suggest, there are so many layers to it, which is just so great. I thought it was so awesome the way that it focused on the super rich and a fractured friendship group as it builds on the rich family dynamic that it focused on so brilliantly in the previous movie. A little bit similar in some ways, I guess, to The White Lotus, but let's go back to Knives Out 2. So I loved how it subverted your expectation with Duke's unexpected death and then multiple intense death chase sequences taking place afterwards. It was just so good. It followed the pattern that they had in the previous movie in terms of something different and additional taking place in parallel to the murder mystery, except this time Benoit Blanc is of course in on it, and it just was such a stroke of genius. I think this was literally the way in which it was able to catapult itself to even new heights and was able to surpass the awesome first movie. And I have to say, the twists and turns in this movie were just so good. I did think halfway through that it just has to be miles behind some of it, but I didn't expect it to take all of the dramatic twists and turns that it did take, and the way in which it just unraveled all of the motives behind everything. And actually, if you watch this movie a second time, you can see all of the pieces there. So they definitely did put all of the clues in front of you, but of course, like I said, they just subverted your expectations and distracted you from everything that was happening. It was just so good and so phenomenal. I also particularly liked how it recaps every little detail, so you do actually leave this film feeling really, really fulfilled, as well as being awe-inspired by the extravagance of what you watched. Pure top class. And I just have to say, the location itself was just absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? Okay, so what actually happened? So Miles was a really rich tech guy who was struggling to come up with something that was truly remarkable and wanted so badly to create something that would allow him and make him to be a living legend, which is so ironic as he did kind of achieve this by the end of this movie. And it was somewhat metaphorical as well, as of course the Mona Lisa was destroyed, which is what he wanted his legacy to be connected with. So incidentally, he did achieve it, but of course it was just done in a really dark way. And he also happened to be incredibly charming and was brought into Andy's friendship circle and ended up going into business with Andy, only to betray her in the worst possible way by stealing her idea and claiming it off as his own, but was also stealing her best friends in the process as well, and having them choose him because of the money and power that he was able to afford them. So mind-blowing. And when Andy discovers the original idea on a napkin that proves her innocence and his betrayal, he kills her off. And when Duke then discovers that she's actually really dead, he kills him off and takes his gun to kill Helen, not knowing that she actually survived, which I have to say was one of the most jaw-dropping moments ever. Helen then gets her revenge by destroying him with the one thing that it was going to make him a living legend, and is now making him infamous. And I particularly loved how they even wove in the name of the glass onion into the film in multiple ways, as of course this movie is so multi-layered. So we of course have the original game box, we have all of the metaphors, we have the super rich and impressive creation of the glass onion on this private island, and we of course have the bar where it all started, which was also called Glass Onion. And I have to say, the power of the scene when Helen is pleading to her sister's friends to support her, but when they choose Miles over her again, it was just so heartbreaking. And it was just such excellent social commentary on the fact that evil prevails because good people do nothing, and is also really great commentary on the rich not wanting to speak out, even when they know something is wrong, especially when they're able to gain from this evil as well. It just worked on so many different levels. And I think it's also worth mentioning that they didn't side with her at the end because it was the right thing to do. It was because they could see that they can't gain anything more from still siding with Miles, and that they actually can gain something by being on the side of Helen this time instead of protecting Miles, as it doesn't serve their self-interest. It was just so good. And even though Helen causes so much destruction on this paradise island, you can see why, as she's just pushed to the edge and sees this as the only way that she can achieve justice and revenge for her sister's murder. Now let's break down all of the characters one by one. So Edward Norton was just so fantastic in this film. I love Edward's acting ability in all of the roles that he has played, but in particular, I just loved him in this film and how it started off as the classic character that all of the characters have a motive for killing off, but then it suddenly became so much more than that, with loads of different layers, such as the fake murder mystery that he was setting up, to Duke's death, to the lights going off seeming as if everybody is after him, to then it being revealed that he actually orchestrated the whole thing and was just such a dark tech billionaire that actually didn't get killed off, but did end up losing everything by the end. Like I said, it was just so phenomenal. And I also loved how you really do buy into the fact that he is this helpless victim during the middle portion of the film, as he was just so convincing with his performance, as well as the theatricality of what he was creating as well. I think is such excellent social commentary, like I said before, also on these maverick type of people who actually haven't come up with these brilliant inventions themselves, but they do have a skill, which is the charisma to bring something to market and to really win people over, like these famous tech billionaires so infamously do. And on that point, definitely check out my review of We Crashed, which incidentally does feature Jared Leto as the main character. And of course, Jared Leto was mentioned a lot in this movie, and I wonder if that was the reason why. What can I say about Janelle Monáe? She was just so spectacular. I love the fact that you don't really know much about this character in the beginning, but we learn more and more about Andy's unfortunate betrayal at the hand of her best friends in this group, spearheaded by Miles, who she was actually trying to help. I just think it's so crazy. The fact that you really need to be careful about the friends that you choose and who you choose to put investment in as well, especially. And like I said, that moment when Helen actually survived Miles's gunshot was just so good. And of course the finale was just so cinematic and, like I said, just so spectacular. A lot of the film's budget was clearly spent during that excellent sequence. And on that point, the whole island of these ultra rich people, this setting was just so amazing, and it really does make you want to go and fly off to a Greek island. Daniel Craig stepped up even more as Benoit Blanc is this movie, and as controversial as this might sound, I actually think he's equally fantastic as a detective as he is as James Bond, as he was just so good in this movie. I loved firstly how intricately he was involved in the wider fabric of the storyline, in terms of secretly being hired by Helen to uncover the truth about her sister's murder, and the way in which they flashed back to all of the previous day's sequences was just so good. And of course, Benoit Blanc's accent is so great. His mind is so great as well. And the way in which he just articulates himself is just so awesome. And the way in which he just reveals everything at the end. And the fact that he was actually the person that inspired Miles to take him up on his idea of the blackout. I just thought it was all so incredibly done. And I love the fact that Kathryn Hahn opened up this entire movie and is just such a true Hollywood star and acts her heart out in every scene that she is in. I just wish that they were able to give her a lot more to do with her character's involvement in the wider storyline, as she just felt part of the ensemble but didn't really do that much in terms of driving the storyline forwards. I mean, you can see why she is just mesmerized by Miles, as he is going to help her with her campaign voters for her election. But like I said, she could have done a little bit more from a script point of view, but you know, of course, not everybody can be main characters. And like I said, she did work really, really well from an ensemble point of view. Kate Hudson similarly could have done a little bit more plot-wise, but her character was absolutely hilarious as a former supermodel that has now transitioned into a fashion designer, and she equally worked really, really well as part of the ensemble and brought a lot of levity to the film, even if you are laughing a lot at this character. Dave Bautista was so wicked as well. You didn't realise how big of a role he was going to play at first, but the way in which Miles just doesn't care about anyone other than himself and wasn't fazed at all when he unceremoniously killed off Duke's character when he wasn't serving him, and also how he just used it as an opportunity to continue to play the victim, was just so unbelievable. A true narcissist. Edward Norton honestly was just so good as this role, but as always, Dave Bautista really does bring a lot of presence to his role, and you just can't help but burst out laughing with him when he's being hilarious on screen. But of course, at the same time, you really do feel his loss when this character does die as well. Jessica Henwick was a real supporting character, but she always does have a lot of presence and does shine in the few moments that she did have. Now let's talk about the cameos, because I love it when Hollywood do this, and this film had loads of them. I was gutted that we didn't see more from Ethan Hawke's character, as he could have been great, and I thought he really was a bit of a dark, rich character too. And Hugh Grant as Benoit Blanc's partner was excellent. I love the multiple references to Jeremy Renner and to Jared Leto, such funny commentary on these actors, especially them giving the likeness for certain product placements, another bit of social commentary about what Hollywood stars do. Jackie Hoffman and Serena Williams were great in their respective roles too, and we already have a third installment coming, and I hope Daniel Craig and Rian Johnson continue to make loads more installments, as their partnership is just so phenomenal. So that was my spoiler review for the absolutely fantastic Knives Out 2 Glass Onion. I have to give it 9 out of 10, as honestly I just loved this movie, and like I said, it was able to surpass Knives Out, and is probably one of the best murder mystery ensemble group movies that I have seen in a long time. It was just honestly so good. The cast were absolutely incredible, the movie was really good, the storyline was really brilliant, all of the twists and turns were absolutely excellent, and the social commentary wasn't shoved in your face. Instead, it was woven into the storyline really organically and really impressively, which is how it should be done. So massive well done to everybody involved. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Glass Onion? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.